My apologies, everyone, and thank you for your patience as we juggle our various Zooms here. I'm trusting, James, that you're going to tell me if there's any problem.
No, everything is perfect, yeah. I can see the screen, I think everyone can see that as well.
And will you watch the chat box for me?
Definitely, yes.
I hope to be a bit interactive here, and you know how that goes. We do our best.
Sure, if there is
Okay.
any message for you, I would read it.
You're very kind. Thanks. So that's the title slide. I want juggling back and forth. There we go. I wanted to test it to make sure I could advance the slides, and I can, no problem. So good day, everyone in Turkey. This is my first ever virtual trip to Turkey. I'm so happy to be with you today. It is now about 7:30 in the morning where I live, and probably it's the afternoon there in Turkey.
Right.
Thank you for chatting with me while we were waiting earlier. I learned that we have a very diverse audience, which is why I'm here. I love that we have a diverse audience. This is a chance for us to meet together and to chat a bit in the chat box. You know, in the last year, we've experienced a lot of changes. And what I've noticed is that my friends, my former students, and my colleagues, we're in two groups. There's people like us, you and me, and James, and Luis, and Divya in Indonesia, and our friends in Iran and Tajikistan, Ecuador, Azerbaijan, all over the world. There are people like us who are embracing change, and we're coming together for conferences in Turkey. It's not the same as being together, but it is something to help us to continue to learn, to change, and to have some enjoyable time together in a professional context. Thank you for coming today. There's so many places you could be, and you chose to be here with us. And this is so wonderful that you did that. And it's we're going to have a kind of informal featured presentation here. I'm going to talk, and I want you to have a little assignment. As I talk, I'd like you to jot down a note or two on a old school piece of paper, or however you like to take a note. I'm going to give you a little bit like assignment as we go, so that you can leave this session, I hope, with just one new idea. One, that would be enough. Yeah. So many times the teachers, oh, we don't have enough new ideas. You just need one new idea. And that's what I'd like you to do today. Also, I'm going to talk about teachers, not students, not classrooms, but teachers. You are, I think, mostly teachers and educators of various kinds. I'm a teacher educator a long time. And as James kindly mentioned in my introduction, I've traveled a lot. I've lived, as I told Divya earlier, I lived in Indonesia, and I lived in Egypt for 6 years, and Indonesia for one, Hong Kong for one, and I've traveled a lot. So I miss travel. Maybe you do too. We can't travel now. Ooh. Maybe we can travel soon, inshallah. I want you to be selfish today. Selfish and only think of yourself. Yeah, because this is a presentation about teachers and teaching and change. So please just take down some notes, think of one new idea, and be selfish. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Here we go. I think. So here we are. You see 3 slides there, and I'm going to tell you about these. This is a little bit of a personal side. We'll get to your stories as well, I hope, in the chat box. James is going to watch it, so please feel free. There's no wrong comment. There's no bad idea. You want to write whatever comes to your head that you want to share with your friends in this presentation. How many people do we have here, James, today? I think it's about 20, so that's great.
Yeah, about 20, 18. to be
18,
exact.
super.
Yes, yeah.
And maybe the others will come in a minute. So,
Yeah, sure,
you never
sure.
know
I
when
think
people come and go with
yeah,
these
there will be
Zoom.
much more than this for sure.
Never mind, never mind. It's fine. On your left side, we're talking about here we are on Zoom, yeah, just like we are now with our tiny little faces in boxes. It's Sunday morning, and I have a church group. That group on the left is my church during COVID, yeah. We can't go out, we can't meet each other, so we go to church on Sunday. It's pretty weird. In the middle is a kind of interesting quick story. Last year we had TESOL International Association meeting, and we couldn't meet in Denver because of COVID. So we met on Zoom. Maybe some of you participated in that conference. It was last March, just at the beginning of the lockdown for many of us. And what you see in that photograph is my colleague in Austin, Texas at the top, who's waving at you. His name is John Schmidt, and also a well-known TESOLer. John's in Austin. The fellow in the purple shirt there is Mr. Richard Boyum, and he is a retired English language officer. And he drove to my home in Winchester, Virginia in his car, and we sat together on my patio with our masks on so we could all three of us together attend the TESOL convention in Denver, Colorado, which was not in Denver, but it was supposed to be. So that was another example of here we are. On the far right are my friends here. Every day we walk because we need to get out of the house. And so there we are at a cafe that had outdoor seating. This is months and months ago, by the way. It's freezing cold here now, so we can't go to restaurants outside. But there we are sitting together and apart. So maybe you have had some similar experiences over this last year of your church community, your mosque, I don't know, being together at a conference like we are here, and I was with my colleagues for TESOL International, or your friends in an outdoor cafe where you have to stay several feet apart from each other. That's where we are, right? All of us. So what's next? What's going to happen to us in the coming months? And that's really what I want to talk to you about today, because if with good luck, we aren't going to be in this lockdown thing forever. We're going to change, and we're going to go back to school and have our kids or our adult students in front of us as we are familiar. So these are three little reminders that we don't really know what's coming next. We don't know when we go back. We don't know when we're going to have face-to-face classes. Maybe some of you are doing that now. Some teachers in the US now are meeting their students face-to-face. Others are still teaching online. Some are doing both, where they teach online and face-to-face at the same time. What's next for you as a teacher? Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Well, according to the British Council, don't worry. Our profession is safe. We have a future in English language teaching. I think, I know, in fact, that many teachers now are nervous because they don't know if they're going to have a job next year. In the United States, because of a terrible political situation, it's been very difficult for foreign students to get visas. This is changing, it's getting better, but it's slow. So we've been worried. The British Council says that we're still needed. Yay, that's good news, yeah? That we are generally non-native speakers and we're human, not machines, yeah? The machines are not going to replace our teachers. We're non-native speakers, like many of the people whose names I see. I think you are non-native speakers of English, and mostly that's what English teachers are. This is very important for us to keep in mind, I think. We are multitaskers and skilled. We have lots of skills, and we can do many things simultaneously. Look at that picture of that teacher with all of those arms holding up all kinds of things simultaneously. We're going to be using a lot of technology, and we're going to be dependent on that technology. That's not going to change. That's one thing for sure. We are going to need and use technology like never before. But maybe it's different in the future from now. We'll be talking about that. There's going to be more voluntary and initiative in personal professional development. Just like you see today, we have so many colleagues like me who are volunteers, and we love each other. We see each other on Zoom, and we're happy to participate in conferences such as this brilliant one that ITTA set up in Turkey this year. Thank you so much, James, and to your employer for supporting this really good idea, well-timed too. So the English teacher of the future is safe. Fear not. The problem is we've got to change, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to be flexible, and I'm going to be talking to you about that now. So here we are, and everything has changed. Teaching has changed, learning for the students, research, professional service, and community service. All the things we do in our lives. And that last one, life balance, it's about the rest of life besides our teaching, outside of research and service to the profession. Our lives have changed. The way that we do physical exercise, how we eat, all of that stuff outside of our professional world has changed too, and I want to talk about that a bit with you today. Think about these as I continue my presentation. Maybe one idea about how your life has changed in teaching, in learning, in research, professional service, community service, and just generally in your life. But in all cases, we rely on what we already know. We use, for example, when I talk to you on Zoom as a conference presenter, I think about my experience in other contexts where you were sitting in front of me physically. So we use what we already know in order to teach, to do research, to do service. We rely on student engagement. On the far left, you see my beloved students in Indonesia in 2013, where I was teaching in a class of 90 students, and I love them so much. And we learned so much from them, but I was able to engage them. They were such amazingly cooperative, flexible people. My teaching was improved because of my students, and I learned so much from being face-to-face with my students. We love being face-to-face. In the middle is a picture of me with some teachers at the Al Azhar University in Cairo, Egypt. It was after I moved away, I went back and I did a project there. Amira Salama would remember the year. I can't remember. There she is in the picture. You might recognize some of our colleagues there. We did a project there with English language teachers at the Al Azhar University. And what was so cool about that face-to-face experience is that some of the Arabic teachers at Al Azhar University joined us. They wanted to learn about teaching. And I ended up editing a book on teaching Arabic as another language as well, as a follow-up. It was a brilliant experience, sponsored there by the U.S. Regional English Language Office in Cairo. So that was a face-to-face example that was really, really cool. On the far right is a group that I led to Botswana in Southern Africa. You might have heard of this big country that many Americans, they don't even know where is it. Botswana is a beautiful, welcoming country in Southern Africa, just north of South Africa. I took a group of students and professors and administrators there, and we did a tour. It was a one-week trip, one of those exchange programs, and it was a wonderful experience, again, face-to-face. All of my experience and yours is based on our knowledge of face-to-face interaction. And so everything we do on Zoom, everything we do remotely is based on our experience being face-to-face. How do we make that transition? Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's more difficult. Now, I could have said this myself, and I'm sorry that this is a very wordy slide, but it's a quotation from Brad Johnson that I took from Twitter a while ago. And it's about the problem I want to talk about today. That education, teacher education, has always seemed to be like fixing the teacher. How do we fix the teacher? Teachers don't need to be fixed, says Mr. Johnson. Maybe education should focus on support, encouragement, inspiration, and appreciation of teachers. That's what we're going to be talking about today. How do we do this for ourselves and for each other? It's not about fixing teachers. So in preparation for this presentation, I found, 6 or so topics, titles that I wanted to share with you. These are the professional development program titles that you'll find online. Enhance your feedback on Zoom. 10 tips for teaching vocabulary online. Expanding your knowledge about listening and speaking. 3 apps you need to know. Transform your program, and 6 mistakes teachers make. Just reading those makes me tired. And while you are enhancing and providing tips and knowledge, expansion, new apps, transformation, correcting your errors, you, teachers, are also dealing with a lot of harsh realities. And that's what I want to talk about today. So in dealing with my harsh realities in the last year, I wrote a book, and James referred to it in my introduction. Thank you, James, for that. I wrote this book on TESOL career path development. I have already given you my email, and I'm happy to send you anything you want about this book. And I'll be referring to it as we move along, but that's a photograph of the front cover. Now we're still in pandemic mode, and here's what we see. We see teachers like you and me and James and all the people on this call and beyond. We are resilient and we are flexible and creative. We're strong and diligent. We persevere and we are committed. And here is what we look like. Right? We're carrying a big backpack of lots of stuff. We didn't ask for this to happen. We didn't even know it was going to happen. We never did it before, and we don't know how long it's going to last. We are living in an extraordinarily complex situation. And so I love this drawing, and I invite you to think about how you carry your backpack with your list of responsibilities that is kind of beyond the classroom, right? This is not about the classroom exactly. It's about you as a teacher, that you're carrying this with you as you teach Listening 1 or American literature or business English or whatever it is you're doing in the classroom. So many teachers feel a little bit confused now. They don't know what to do. I talk all the time to former students and colleagues who are very confused. Some of them are leaving the profession. Not many, but some are leaving the profession. They're doing something else. Others are trying to take their TESOL skills and move those into new areas of professionalism. And others are continuing with their current work, but learning new skills, mostly with technology and also with networking. So we don't always know how our plans are going to get changed. And I love this visual of that fact. I think many of us can relate to this shocking new life that we all have. My question for us today is, in dealing with this kind of turmoil in which we are, being flexible and changing, we also need to be happy. And it's not easy because we're working hard to keep going and to do a great job with the work that we're doing. How can we be happy on a tightrope is the question. And I'm going to help you, I hope, with some new ideas to help you do that. If I can. This thing keeps disappearing. I don't know where I'm going here. Oh, here we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is Zoom. I always worry about what I look like on Zoom. Should I use my background? Do I look stupid? Do I look tired? Should I wear makeup? I don't usually wear makeup. I mean, some of us can relate to this, right? What do we do with students on Zoom? This has been the topic of, Maricella did a great job yesterday with her presentation on this topic, and Kara McDonald also. I've been sleeping during some of this conference, so I didn't see everybody, but I know that you're getting some great ideas from presenters on ways of using Zoom. What do I look like? What do I do with my students on Zoom? That is important, but it's not my topic today. I only want to say that we worry about it. Teachers want to do a good job on Zoom, and they came to this conference in search of ideas, which you are getting from many of the other presentations, as I mentioned. Perhaps there are more today.
Yes.
And in the words of another, again, I always like to use quotations because they stick in our heads. We expect teachers to reach unattainable goals with inadequate resources, and the fact is they often do. That's the truth. And that's what we're talking about today, is how amazing some teachers are, and all of us are, especially now. So now getting to my topic, really, how are you dealing with the changes in your career path, your teaching, your research, your service, and your personal life? How are you dealing with those? And what are you doing that's intentional? Yeah, somebody didn't tell you to do it. You didn't do it because, I don't know, you had to. You're choosing, you're making the choice of intentionally teaching differently, intentionally doing research or not. Maybe you're not doing any research. Maybe you decided to do research. I know some of my former students, they're using this time to collect data because there's so much going on and they are so interested in some aspect of online Zoom-based teaching or, you know, another tool. The one that you heard about yesterday was Nearpod, and I'm excited to learn more about Nearpod. But what are we doing for these in our lives in this current environment? So for those intrepid researchers out there, I want you to know that I'm not just talking about, you know, my own life or my experience with my own friends or teachers. There is actual research that shows that happy teachers have happy students. It is important that we try to teach well. We're not abandoning our commitment to excellence in instruction. And there's been some research done on this topic of teachers and students being happy. And I wanted you to know that there are studies from all over the world, really, on this topic. And I do have a handout. James, I did not send it because I saw that you were telling people to put it in the chat and so on. And what I'd like to do is hear from anyone on email, and I will send you the handout that I'd be happy to share, which is basically just references. It's not very interesting otherwise. It's a list of references. But for anybody doing research, it would be a useful tool. It would be my pleasure to send it to you on email. So I'm talking about career path development, and I wanted to have a shared definition. This is from my book. It's the first book on this subject, but we're talking about a description of people, individuals who go forward in their professional lives. Now, TESOL is interdisciplinary. We are applied linguistics, we are pedagogy, and cross-cultural communication. Those are sort of the three legs of the stool, if you will, of TESOL. And it draws on work in language teacher education, teacher motivation, leadership, organizational development, and life balance. So in our book, there are 5 chapters, one on each of those factors that impact us from the beginnings to the ends of our careers. And the 5 stages of development are those: pre-service. Some of us are graduate students in this group, where we are taking a course or doing some kind of program before work. We are novice or beginner teachers in our first and second years as teachers. Mid-career or career switchers are next, veteran teachers, and semi-retired teachers. The definitions of those are on this handout I mentioned as well, but you get an idea. There are 5 stages of our careers. And sometimes if we change jobs, even within the same institution, we might go backward or forward. depending on the job that we're doing. Also, there are 5 factors that I mentioned earlier that impact our career paths, and those are teacher education, motivation, leadership, organizational development in the workplace, as well as language teacher associations and life balance. And all of those are defined in the book. So where are you on your TESOL career path? What do you need right now and for your future? When you think about your life as a path, like the lady on the tightrope earlier, when you think of yourself, where are you on that path? Are you a pre-service? Are you novice? Mid-career? Where are you on your career path? You can put it in the chat box if you'd like. But I want you to think about your career path today and start with yourself and where you see yourself to be. And these are the factors that influence TESOL career path development. I'm not going to go into a long description of those, but they differ depending on the stage. So for example, teacher education, if I'm pre-service teacher stage, I'm going to be focused on my education. I'm learning applied linguistics, psycholinguistics, sociolinguistics. I'm learning pedagogy, I'm learning methodology, materials development, assessment issues, research. I'm learning all that, and that's the focus of my life, right, is education. But as I move through my career, my motivation changes, right? My motivation is different from when I'm pre-service than when I'm a novice teacher. When I'm a novice teacher, for example, maybe I want to please my boss a lot. My motivation is to get along with my colleagues and my supervisor. So my motivation changes because when I was pre-service, I didn't care about my boss. I didn't have a boss.
Excuse
right?
me. Liz, may I read the messages?
Yeah.
Okay. There is, 2 people mentioned novice, and the rest mentioned mid-career.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And how many people was that, approximately?
6, 7.
6 or 7. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So let me speak to novice teachers. Novice teachers are here. This is often the case that novice teachers are enthusiastic about professional development. They're used to being students. So they come to a conference with their student hats, and they ask great questions, and they're very enthusiastic. What happens now, though, in COVID, novice teachers are freaking out. They're worried because they didn't plan to start their career in the middle of a pandemic. But never fear, there's opportunities like crazy for you. And I'm going to talk about those later in this presentation, but I want to acknowledge novice teachers. Now, mid-career teachers, you guys are expensive, at least in the West. When you reach mid-career veteran teacher, the school or institution has to pay you more money. You're higher, you have more experience, you have more knowledge. You are probably a better teacher than you were when you were a younger novice teacher. So I want you to know that you are in a position where you have more options professionally. As a mid-career teacher or a career switcher, we have nurses who have had it. They're tired of working in hospitals where they're afraid for their life. So they're switching to TEFL. They want to be a teacher rather than working in a medical context. But they're both helping professions, men and women, who are joining us as career switchers. They bring with them, they don't leave behind their experience as medical professionals, they bring it with them. And many of them have gotten jobs in ESP, English for Specific Purposes, working with nurses or technicians or medical doctors in training. So there's so much available for a career switcher now in TESOL, and we can talk about that too. So this is a little chart that, again, I keep a little notebook. I'm very big on writing things down. You may or may not be, but if you are a person who writes things down, I encourage you to make a little chart and look and analyze and be intentional about your skills, your knowledge about technology, your instructional habits, and anything else that you want to put down there. So in my list, and Christine Combe in in Dubai has similar habits as me in this way. We write everything down. Teaching skills, speaking, listening, reading, writing, grammar, vocab. Those are the basic English language classes or focus that you have. What did you do before? What are you doing after the pandemic or the lockdown? Your knowledge. Did you learn new skills, new platforms, new apps, new resources? And what are your instructional habits that may have changed over this time, before and after? And what else? One guy yesterday or the other day was talking to me not in this conference about his religious habits had changed and how important that was to him. That he started going to mosque in a different way because of the lockdown and all of those details. What I've noticed and what teachers have told me, the reason I present you with this slide and these thoughts is that many teachers told me that when they wrote it down, they made this chart, they found out, oh, so many things I'm doing different. So many things I've learned. Yeah, because it was passive. They hadn't really consciously thought or intentionally thought about it. My daughter-in-law just tried to phone me from Canada. This is technology, right? So in terms of research, I wanted to talk about this. How has the pandemic affected your research agenda? Some teachers have one and some people don't. But I encourage you to think about research at this time. So much going on, so much to study, so much to learn. Are you doing more research or less? Are you focused on research, or has research taken a back seat in your life? And if you don't have a research agenda, have you considered adding research to your professional life? I just raise that up as something to consider. Service. Service is not volunteer work, ladies and gentlemen. Service is what James Jahan Chahid is doing this morning. Service is something we do to forward the profession or our institution or school. And the question here is how and to what extent have you made any changes to your professional service? Some of us have done a lot. Some of us have pulled back and we're not doing any service. Some of us have a different attitude towards service because our paychecks went away and we're thinking, we don't have any money, so we have to do something else. We have to find money some way. Whatever you're doing about service is a good thing to do. But I invite you to think about it. Think about what you're doing to serve your professional community, whether it's locally or regionally or nationally, internationally. This conference would be considered international service for those who are giving presentations and organizing it. And what's your attitude? How do you feel in your heart about service? Do you think, or do you think, well, this is a chance for me really to connect with other people? For me, this service is incredibly valuable because I miss travel. And so today I get to travel virtually to Turkey. What are you doing with your service work now? Now, this one is personal, and I invite you to consider your personal life. Often in these presentations, we don't talk about personal things. And this is not, super personal. But what I'm talking about here is life balance. What has this pandemic done to change your personal life, your person, your physical space? Maybe you have an office at home and you didn't used to have an office at home because you're working from home now.
Yeah, well, Liz, Azra has written that I meet great professors like you, dear Liz, in new webinar contexts and learned a lot before I had no much access to these great sessions.
Interesting. That should make you happy, James, that you're opening doors for so many people. Mabruk. And
that's a very little thing, very little contribution I can do to
Very cool.
all
Thank
my
you, Ezra.
teacher
Thank you.
peers.
Uh, yeah, thank you, Ezra.
Yeah.
Ways you spend your time, right? Early in the morning. Here I am at 7 o'clock in the morning when James texted me and said, hi. You know, he wanted to make sure I was available for the session. I was awake. Maybe your sleep is different. Some people are struggling with sleep now.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah. These days, yeah, it's about 2 or 3 nights. I guess I didn't have real regular sleep actually. It's because I've got to get up earlier in the morning, do the tasks, preparations, arrangements for the sessions, contacting presenters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And teachers, you know, they're online with their students.
Of course,
And
yes.
they prepare a space where the students behind them have charts and many tools, Metimeter, Zoom, Nearpod, all these.
And Aysan also has mentioned almost the same comment, getting to know more experts in my field, taking part in webinars worldwide, and teaching my students how to send me emails, etc.
Fantastic. Yeah, teaching students how to send email and engagement in activities. And you know, these conferences, before we started, you know, we were a bit early, and we had a social connection. Yeah, we were talking on the chat about, I asked, where are people from, blah, blah. So we have both engagement online and the comments. Thank you to those who made those. I appreciate it, and I want more. We engage online. Some people don't. Yeah, we've got 25 people here, and only 2 or 3 choose to engage. It's fine. This is what people do. Some people love the Zoom interaction in the chat. Some people prefer the face-to-face. Some people just prefer to be silent and take it all in. It is okay. But
Yeah.
my goal today is to have you explore it for yourself. What do you like? What are you doing with your time?
Right.
What's different and what's the same?
And Suzanne, I think, if I'm right with Suzanne Abedinzadeh has written that I found time to do some cooking.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. I wish I were there to share the cooking. Shall I go on, James?
Definitely. I'm sorry to interrupt. There were messages.
I'm glad. No, I'm glad you did. Thank you. Always interrupt, James.
Yeah.
So personal life, in addition to service and research and teaching, all of those have changed. And I invite you to consider all of those as you move forward in your TESOL career path. I'm coming toward the end of my presentation, not to the end, but almost. So I wanted to make a list, and probably many of you already know these, of many things that are available to TESOLers worldwide as you do professional development over the next months and years. And of course, you know about most of these. And please put in the chat box, James, let me know
Actually,
any that you don't know or want to know more.
yeah.
I want to share that. Yeah.
Actually, there's no new message. Linda Chu has joined us and said hello from Tucson. Tucson, Arizona. Am I right with the spelling?
Yep.
Uh,
Hi, Linda. Linda is my friend and my former student, and she's going to help me because we're going to talk about something else later. So going back to the slide, these are opportunities for intentional professional development. And when I say intentional, I'm talking about that bit that we did before where you decide, yeah, for yourself. Each person is individual. I have special tastes, or I am a semi-retired TESOLer, so I have my own professional development program. You have your own. And in all cases, we have resources such as these I've listed among others, of course, but these are the ones I kind of use for myself. And these are ones that you might consider if you don't know about them. James, do we have any questions about these until now?
Not really, yeah. There's no question.
Okay. Okay. There's money. I wanted to make sure everyone knows that you can get awards. Awards means money often, or grant, yeah. And those come from a variety of sources. I know TEFL has some. My focus is TESOL International. TESOL International has money for teachers who are non-native English speakers, such as the ones on this call, and those grants, sometimes nobody applies for them. So the money is there, but nobody asks for it. And then teachers come to me and say, oh, I can't go to the TESOL because I don't have the money to pay for it. So I'm here to tell you that the TESOL International wants you to attend its conferences in the future when we can be together.
So, Liz, there's a question by Shada Ozai. I wanted to ask you about TESOL and TEFL because of internet or in the normal or in class, probably she means. There are lots of them. Prices are different too. I don't know, what should I do? Which one is the best?
So the question is about teacher education and a certificate online.
Yeah, I think firstly about which one is better, doing it online or in class, and secondly about which organization probably we can trust.
This is not an easy, quick answer, James.
Yes.
The fact is there are many online, especially now, many online certificates and programs. The TESOL International has one many that are very expensive.
Yes.
But they also have these grants and awards. So those are worth looking at. But I would invite our colleagues who are asking this question, this is something very personal, right? You know your own budget, you know your own needs, you know what you already can do. Yeah, you don't want a certificate that's for beginners if you're a mid-career teacher. You don't want it. I mean, it just isn't a good match, yeah? It's about a match. What I often do is I field email from colleagues and friends and former students, and they will ask me, I want this and this program offers that. Do you think this is a good match? I'm happy to provide, and I invite, somebody like James or Linda, you could write to a friend and ask their advice, but I would never presume to say this is a good one, this is a bad one. I will say that I know there are bad ones. So don't spend your money on something you don't want. Make sure that you ask questions, get answers, and intentionally choose a professional development. The name in the question, I think, James, the person was saying, is it TEFL or TESOL? It doesn't matter. That's not a sign of a good program or a bad program.
I guess the question comes from it's a common discussion these days in Turkey, especially since TESOL is becoming more and more popular in Turkey. The Minister of Education is accepting TESOL as an international qualification of teaching for permissions and things. So that's why it's becoming more popular, and many Turkish teachers and foreign teachers, they would like to kind of make sure where they can trust. But I think mainly here the story is about the accreditation. If the certificate they receive they receive good training, firstly, and the modules are exactly based on the standard TESOL or TEFL modules, and the certificate is well accredited by the UK body or American body. This is what people, the English Teaching Society in Turkey says.
Yeah, well, does the Ministry of Education of Turkey have a list Because some ministries will give you a list of
not actually. No,
whose
no.
certification they will accept and not accept. So I don't know.
Yeah, not actually. Yeah, but no, normally the certificates, the sole certificates, which are accredited by, uh, like British governmental uh, organizations or American governmental organizations, uh, are acceptable by the government for work permit and all the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I know this is a problem. Jody Crandall and I went to Turkey. We were in Izmir
Yes.
a few years ago, and we did a program with PhD candidates and master's candidates because the ministry decided they had to publish. And if they didn't publish, then they couldn't keep their job or get a job. So we were guiding them in taking their research projects to the level of improving the written publication, pre-publication version of their studies. I would invite the Ministry of Education of Turkey to choose its own accrediting bodies, that it's a popular one in the UK, that it's a popular one in the US, that it's a popular one in Australia, is not necessarily going to be the right one for Turkey. Turkey is a very diverse, linguistically diverse country. I'm not an expert on Turkey by any means,
Yes.
but I would really encourage our colleagues in Turkey to help the ministry to select training for Turkish teachers of English that is relevant to the Turkish context. Yeah. I mean, your context is different from the UK and the US. I mean, we can offer suggestions, but at the end of the day, I would be very uncomfortable saying, oh, well, this is good enough for the UK, so it's good enough for Turkey.
Yes, you're
It's
right.
apples, oranges, yeah?
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Other questions? I see more people's faces. I'm happy that you're here.
No, no
So-
questions in the chat box, indeed.
What?
Yeah, there is. No, actually, yeah, there's no question in the chat box. No new question.
Okay, thanks. So I'm going to continue and complete my presentation. We're going to chat as long as you like. So these are, I think, a good list, an incomplete one for sure, but there's lots of opportunities here, and I'll be talking about more in a moment for all of our audience to consider. So in closing, these are the ones I use. I am so lonely here in Virginia with all of my American friends who are local. I love to travel. I miss travel. Being with you together today on Zoom in Turkey is helpful to me. But I have done a variety of projects with most all of the groups whose names you see there. INGED is, I believe, the Turkish affiliate of English, TESOL affiliate.
Yeah, it is.
That one in the middle, INGED.
Yes.
Spelled as the Pakistani, Virginia TESOL, TESOL International, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, TESOL Gulf, ITFL. Bottom right is the TESOL Career Path Development Professional Learning Network, which I founded. And we have a Facebook page and a group on TESOL.org. And in that group, we do a lot of work with teachers. We provide resources. We have a webinar series program. Yesterday, we had a wonderful presentation on leadership. Kariman from Egypt talked about her master's thesis on shared leadership and distributed leadership. Very cool stuff. We have Okon Effiong from Nigeria and Ayman El Sheikh from Sudan, originally lives in Doha now. They're going to be speaking next week on the English Language Teaching Association of Africa. And we are going to hope to have lots of Africans with us at that event. So there's just so much going on worldwide now. And these resources are available to me. They're my favorite ones. And they're available to you, all of them. You might, if you didn't already think of these groups, you might want to check out their website or on Facebook. Most of them have a Facebook presence as well. So some closing thoughts on life balance. We didn't talk about it much, but it's in the book. When we talk about life balance, it is body, mind, and soul. By the way, there's research on these for other professions, but not for TESOL. My book is the first one on body, mind, and soul life balance. That is the chapter on life balance. Each day, I try to do something for my body. I try to do something for my mind and my soul. So this is a kind of Dr. England rule that you can accept or reject, but it's a worthy way to think. Yeah, it'll help us to keep healthy during this COVID time. It's very easy for me, for example, to get lost in mind activity, because I'm an academic and I read stuff and I'm on Zoom about TESOL all the time. And so mind is heavy, but my soul, I have to really work at it to make sure that I address my soul, my heart, yeah? And I do something every day to do that. I try. I fail, by the way, but I try to do something for my body. I'm a big yoga person. I love to do yoga and Pilates, and I try to do those in my house because the gym is shut. And mind and soul. The list here is really a combination. There's a woman called Brene Brown. I kind of modified these from her work. But the notion of allowing your feelings of sadness and fear and uncertainty and loss, this is something that is against our grain. Yeah, in the West, and I think to some extent in the North Africa, Middle East, Turkey, that we don't show it if we're afraid or if we're unsure or if we feel lost. We're not supposed to show it, yeah? We keep our guard up and our face smiling. But there are times and there are friends and colleagues who can allow us our feelings. And those people are very valuable to us. We have to have them in our lives. Listen to a video or audio that you like, right? Listen to an audio of a speaker whose message you love over and over. Listen to it over and over again. Or watch a video or a movie that you love. Passages and chapters in books that you love. Mary Oliver is my favorite American poet. She really has some cool messages for me, and I love reading those. Spend money on yourself. This is something that people don't like to do, or they tell me, I'd like a new phone. This African group told me recently, oh, I use a flip phone. I said, what? Yeah, you need a new phone. And sometimes just telling your colleague or your friend, buy yourself a new chair for your desk that is comfortable for you. Yeah, people don't think that they are allowed to buy things for themselves. I have one former student, very quickly, she told me she wrapped it in wrapping paper with a bow for herself because that way she had a present for herself. Make a small change in your day, your work day, yeah? If you're used to working at night, try working in the morning. Anything you want to do to change your day, just to kind of switch things around. Write down what you like about a student. I love this one and it helps me a lot. So I have a student that I really like and I write down, what do I like about her? Oh, she's always smiling. Oh, she always gives me compliments, yeah? You can also write down what you don't like, a student that you don't know or you don't like very well. Yeah, what do you like about that person? Just write it down. And finally, revising and making several versions of your CV. This is a long story. And I've recently hired somebody to help me to make my long CV into an e-portfolio. I encourage you to create a curriculum vitae or a resume that is in different versions, focusing on different skills. And you're going to see that you have many skills. In closing, take care of ourselves all throughout our career paths, whether we're pre-service or novice teachers or veterans or semi-retired. We need each other. The research is there. It's I was really profoundly moved to learn that in the medical profession, doctors, how they work together as a team and help each other. Lawyers, yeah, these people who do go to court, yeah, lawyers, they have a team that help each other, colleagues. In TESOL, we have it too, and we need each other.
Liz, may I interrupt you once more? uh, Azra wrote that. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Azra wrote that, Dear Liz, is it possible to introduce me the book and film you love most? Because we are mostly at home and we need a new book to read.
Need suggestions. My friends and I do the same. We have a list of Netflix that we love and we share it on our texts. Yeah. Yeah, let's everyone, and maybe in the chat you can write down your favorite movie or your favorite music. For me, I was just last night, I watched a very old movie. I watch new movies and old movies, don't you? Do you like new ones and old ones? I watched West Side Story. It's Leonard Bernstein's music. It's beautiful. And it's a great old movie made in the 60s. Music, I like all kinds of music. And I also I live alone. So sometimes I like to dance around in my house with the windows closed. And I play belly dancing music, but you don't want to see it, don't worry. Yeah, so this is the closing of my presentation, James, before we move on to your topic, and I'd love to share those movies and music. I'm going to look at the chat box as soon as I finish here. And it's a lovely quotation about teachers in the metaphor of flowers. James, you want to read it for me?
Warm wishes to all throughout your TESOL career. Teşekkür ederim ve içten dileklerim. I can't really. I'm not really good at Turkish. But we've got Turkish people around. Dr. Peker can do that, yeah. Turan.
Yes.
Dr. Peker, yay!
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for coming.
Nice to see you. Teşekkür ederim ve en içten dileklerimle. Best wishes. Okay.
Okay, thanks for the support.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Faker. No, I was asking you, James, to read the poem above.
Okay. So
Can you read it, please?
I thought you were talking about the message at the below. I'm sorry. Yeah. When a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. Yeah.
That's my message. Thank you, James. Thank you, Dr. Pager. Warm wishes, everyone. I am happy to stay with you for some time. I have about 20 minutes if you want to talk some more or whatever. James, over to you. Thank you so much, everyone.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much indeed for your kind contribution, for the wonderful session you conducted. We all did enjoy, I'm sure. And I guess we've got 5-minute time from now because we need a short break time before the next presentation by Dr. Catherine Cho and Kashif Reza. It's a mutual presentation indeed. And well, let's see if there is any message.
Please feel free to open your microphone if you want to ask a question, make a comment. No wrong answer here.
Right. And I believe that these online presentations and online webinars help a lot, give some inspiration to people also to develop their careers in the field of ELT. And I mean, if we can give any kind of inspiration to study in that topic or to find different ways, so I believe that it's a great opportunity. So that's why I'd like to thank James for organizing such a wonderful organization.
You're most
And
welcome.
I just learned it in the last minute, and also I announced it to my students. I can see some of them in the morning. I could see, but now maybe they couldn't attend in the afternoon. But I believe that this is a really great opportunity. Thank you very much.
How can we keep our students involved in teaching and learning? So my presentation was not on students. Yeah, it was on teachers, engaging teachers, because the research is very clear, as I showed you the slide internationally, that teachers who are engaged have students who are engaged. Yeah, so we focused on teachers, but the answer to your question was in Kara McDonald and Mary Chella Takdemir. She gave a presentation. So many great ideas for engaging students on the Zoom calls and with other tools that we have, technology.
Oh, Liz, my students are MA and PhD students, so they're already teachers.
So you teach them what are you doing with them?
Well, they do research regarding teacher development, and then they also teach in schools. But plus, they study their MA and PhD degrees in our institution. I work in a university, Pamukkale University, in Denizli, Turkey.
Cool. It's an amazing time to be a teacher educator, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're probably using a lot of technology with your teacher trainees, aren't you?
We do.
Yeah, I ran my job for the last 12 years was the director of an online master's program in the United States, the first one ever in 1999. I didn't set it up, my predecessor did. It started in 99. So my students, my former students, are now very popular in the job market because they themselves learned online. Yeah. So they know a little bit deeply, yeah, about, and your students too, Dr. Paker, they're going to be really employable because they had this experience firsthand. Yeah, you're not talking about something maybe in the future. No, now, right here and now they have to do it. It's so cool. I'm so glad you've shared that information. Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
And, but let me tell you something about online presentation or online education. I was at Bilkent University.
Bilkent, sure.
There's an internet connection. It's at Bilkent University is the first private university that is supported by Fulbright and American government.
I know. It's very famous in America.
Yeah. And we've had first video conference in 1988.
Cool. Wow. It seems
So
like
I'm
1,000
really
years
lucky.
ago. Yeah, Bill Kent is very famous and long time been an excellent, and Roberts College was another one.
In Istanbul, yeah.
Istanbul.
Yeah. Yeah, it's now Boğaziçi University, Bosphorus University now.
Phosphorus. They changed it.
name, right?
So, James, all of your participants are hearing the old people talking.
Yes, indeed. All right then. So I would like to thank you once more for your contribution, for your professional, kind contribution, and the time you gave us. We did learn a lot, indeed. It's true for me, at least. I'm sure the others feel the same. And so, if there is any closing words to say, please, yeah.
Oh, just thank you so much, James. I wish you all the very best for the future. You have my email. I'm happy to come